Hello, beloved. It is day 25 of Unfiltered December, but it is also Christmas, okay? We are celebrating the birth of our Lord and Savior. For unto us a child is born, for unto us a son is given. We are excitedly celebrating the birth of our Savior. And for some of you, you may be by yourself and you may just be thinking on the goodness of the Lord. Some of you may be going to see The Color Purple today, or maybe you've already gone to see The Color Purple today. Some of you may be with friends and family. There are so many ways to celebrate if you do celebrate, but we want to take this particular time to honor and acknowledge our Lord and Savior. So come on in the room, tag yourself in the chat, tag your people, let them know that we are live, okay? Just because it's a holiday don't mean we're gonna stop. We committed to 31 days for you, and we're gonna finish those 31 days for you. However, my goal is not to be on here as long as I typically would, because I want to ensure that you have time to spend with your community, with your family. You have time reflecting on the goodness of God. You have time to rest. You have time to think on affirmations and put them into practice today. So I do not want to be before you long. Today, I know I get up here to facilitate, to chat with you. Sometimes I do a little preaching. Sometimes I do a little teaching. Today, I'm going to do just some talking. I just want to share with you. It's day 25. It's such a special day. Usually, I am recording in front of a Christmas tree. This is the first year that I'm not. I think I typically am. I think this is one of the first years that I'm not recording in front of a Christmas tree. As you can see, I'm in my office. But I hope we can be kind of like, intimate. If I thought about it a little bit more, I might have recorded on my couch. Those of you who've been here, most of you haven't, but some of you have been here to my home. You've been able to stay. And if you have been here, or if you're familiar with the Unfiltered community, and if you're like not in the group, what are you doing? Go right now, head over to Facebook, Queen G Creative, the Living Unfiltered, and join our private group. Okay, this is where we live out life together. We do community. We are bold. We are vulnerable. We are open. And when this challenge isn't happening, we do weekly engagements and affirmations. We have events. They get the first updates. Those are my peoples. Okay. So join our group. But if you're familiar, then if you've seen me during like Save Summer Sex series, things like that, then you've seen my little teal couch. Had I thought of this differently, I would have done my little teal couch, and maybe I will do that. Well, I'll probably be on the little teal couch for New Year's Eve, when we have our grand finale. Well, come on in. As Auntie Tab say, come on in the room. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope y'all see I'm festive. I'm festive today, okay? I came in the attire, honey. I've got my ugly Christmas sweater dress. Had to bring it back for Christmas. Get into it, honey. We've got glasses that match, okay? It's a vibe. We've got earrings that match the decorations on the shirt. We're giving it to you, honey. Now I'm buttoned up. I've got the headband that makes me feel like I'm a bow, like I'm a gift today. Anyway, I say all that to say I am in a mode of celebration, and I don't want to keep you long, but I do want to celebrate with you. I have found that these days, God is amazing. You guys, God is really good. Every day, at some point in the day, I look at something simple, maybe seemingly insignificant, and I think, wow, God, thank you. I love this little thing in this little life that you are building with me. Make sure you come in the room. It's been a few minutes. Tag your people, and in the comments, do me a favor. Let me know what you did for Christmas, what you're doing for Christmas, and let me know where you are, because where you're from may not be where you are, because people travel for Christmas. So as I was saying, I think of these things, and y'all know, some of you don't, because we've got people from all ages and all backgrounds who are going to be jumping on today. We've even got some people who aren't Christians and don't celebrate Christmas, and that's okay. Everybody is welcome here. But there's this trend of a sound that's, I think, is from a song, and it's all over TikTok, which of course has made its way to Instagram, and wherever TikToks or Reels or whatever have you, wherever those are, they're there. They've gone kind of viral, and the sound is, I think I like this little life. That's the main part that plays. I think I like this little life. And if there were a little song playing, there'd be two. Like, okay. So if there was like a non-Jesus song, it would be, I think I like this little life, in those moments. And the other thing that would be playing would be my favorite hymn, the hymn of hymns. And I like a lot of hymns, but my favorite hymn is Great is Thy faith. Great is Thy faithfulness. Oh God, my Father. I won't get into it because it's gonna mess me up. But it would be those songs simultaneously playing in those special moments. And they're simple, right? Maybe it's been a long day and I come home and I don't know about you guys, but I do this thing where I greet my house when I get here and I say, hi, house. I even leave. When I'm leaving, I'm like, bye, house. I'm going to miss you. And maybe I've been traveling a long time, or maybe I've just had a really long day, and it's a moment where I get to walk into my house. Thank you, Lord. Or my bed is made and my room is in order. And it's lovely. Or I just finished something that is not difficult in and of itself, but maybe because my executive function isn't functioning that day, it was hard, and I finished it at my desk. Or I'm laying on my bed and I just look into my closet. I have a walk-in closet of two, actually, and I'm laying on my bed, my beautiful king-size bed, and I look into my walk-in closet and I look to the left. And I have this divider in my room. My office and my room are separated by the divider. But it's this beautiful divider you can see through. And I'll look through and I'll look in my office. And I'll look in before I'm going to bed, sometimes I typically leave my closet door open. And I look in the closet door. And I say, thank you, God. I'm so grateful. Or I go to my backyard. And maybe it was cold, or cool. And the sun is shining. And it's just enough sun to sit on my face or skin, and it's the break I needed in the day, and it's the fresh air, and I see the greenery in nature, and I'm just like, thank you, God. It is a million little microscopic pieces of simple answered prayers, and simple, it's the small dreams coming true every day. It's a million pieces of microscopic miracles every day. I'm just in awe and wonder that this is the life I get to live. And sometimes I pause and I look around and I'm like, this is my life. I'm in a home that is not perfect, that I don't own, but that I'm so grateful for, where I get to host and love people, where I build memories, where I serve in ministry, where I build a life. And it looks like love, and it smells like love, and it's not perfect. It's not always perfectly manicured, but it's my home. And I get to share it with my sister, whom I love deeply, who makes me better, who sees me, who is excited when I come home. And I'm happy when she comes home, when she's gone. and we get to practice platonic intimacy, and we get to practice godly accountability, and we make every moment like good. It's in the little things that make every day good. And I will look at a face when I've like really beat my face and I get to spend time with myself. It's quality time with myself. Or I look in the mirror and I've done nothing to my face. It's just me and my face, and I'm just grateful. You know, or there are days where I feel good. I just feel good. When you've been chronically ill, when you've experienced severe illness for much of your life, when you've experienced mental illness and physical illness, just feeling good is so godly. It is such a blessing. It's just an amalgamation of all of these precious moments. There are big dreams that I have in life, huge dreams. Dreams that are so big they scare me, and they should. Dreams only the God of the universe in my corner like could fulfill. And I'm not all the way there yet. I'm not all the way there. But what I have in every day, in every moment, in every one of those moments of gratitude is a sense of contentment. Like what Paul talks about, like I've been abased, I've abounded, and I figured out the secret. The secret is to be content. And I'm like, Paul, I get it. I have the contentment that makes me feel wealthy. But I also have a preview, and excuse my neighbors, they are releasing fireworks. They have been for days. If you hear it in the background, hey, that's life. Oh God, I'm just grateful. I'm not just contentment, but I have a preview. It's like a cosign and a confirmation of the dreams of the future. And it's God just reminding me that he's brought me so far, and he's excited about how much further we get to go together. And I think about how people will ask me, what do you want to be? Like in your perfect world, if you could be anything, what would you want to be? And I'll tell you guys, I'll tell y'all, I would want to be a more, a significant version. I would love to do what I do on a grander scale. I would love to engage with my creativity in just much more significant ways. But when I really think about it, I'm living my dream. I'm doing what I love. I just want to be able to ultimately do it on a larger scale. I'm already doing what I love to do. Like I'm already living in my dreams. Like this is the preview of what's to come. This is the preview of what's to come. And I think one of the things that makes it so special is just remembering what it felt like for those things to be so far away. And if you haven't noticed, there are 2 affirmations today. I know we're deep in and we haven't mentioned them, but they're on the screen. You saw them when you logged on. The first affirmation is, I am a reclamation of dreams deferred. Oh, we're not going to be out here long. We're going to try to be out here in the next 15 minutes. Hopefully, we'll see what happens, but hopefully in the next 15 minutes. The affirmations are, I'm a reclamation of dreams deferred, and God has increased my capacity according to my call. And we're really leaning into the first one. I remember what it was like for where I am now to feel so far away. And it's not that I've arrived. I'm just aware. I want y'all to sit with that. It's not that I have arrived. I'm at the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg for what God has in store for me. I've arrived nowhere, baby. But where I am, Okay, it's not that I've arrived nowhere. Where I've arrived, it's still small in scale comparison to where I'm going. God, you're amazing. God, you're awesome. God, you're awesome. But I am in answered prayers right now. All of these things, even if they weren't the full extent of the dream, they were a piece of the dream that felt so far away from me. And it is my everyday life. It's not that I've arrived, it's that I'm aware. I want to invite you into being aware. On this day, we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. We celebrate the greatest gift that's ever been given in existence, the greatest gift that's ever been given to humanity. While we're celebrating that, I want you to think about the gift that your life is and the gift that your dream is. You may not be there. You may not be there, but we're on our way, beloved. We're on our way. Um, and so I'm just going to talk through, I'm not even going to talk long, I hope, but I want to go through some things that are, whew, God is amazing. Now, my everyday life, that before I was so harmed by life, I was so downtrodden in moments. I felt so far from what God dreamed for me that even stuff that seemed regular to y'all, it just felt impossible. And I'm just intentional about engaging with it and encountering it every day. For example, we already talked about health a little bit. I want to dive into health a little bit more. And we're just going to be really transparent. We're not preaching today. We're just talking. I'm like, not crying. I'm on the verge though. I feel like, I'm on like the verge. Even though I love these glasses and I think they're so cute and I think they fit, let's undo a little. I'm very like buttoned up, I'm very posh right now. Let's get a little undone together. So, God, I just thank you. So, let's talk about mental and physical health. So for those of you who don't know, I have had an alphabet soup of diagnoses. And there are also other things that I am technically undiagnosed for, but it's very clear that that's relevant or prevalent. And let's see, have been diagnosed with many a thing. So in regards to mental health, I call it alphabet soup. I call it alphabet soup of diagnoses because I've been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, um, I am neurodivergent, and so ADHD as well. And that I suspected, but I went a long time not getting recognized or diagnosed, which very negatively impacted my health and my well-being and my life. And I just constantly felt like I was not good enough and something was wrong with me and I was a failure. Very much so. And yeah, let's get comfy. I'm used to like rolling up my sleeves. I wore them full length because this is like designed to be worn full length. But let's just roll it up because we're getting comfy now. You've already seen the display, right? You've seen the earrings. Let's just get comfortable. All of these diagnoses, mentally and with my mind. And speaking of my brain, my mind, and segueing to my brain, I would have these illnesses and these symptoms that were perplexing to doctors, many a doctor and many a medical team, for many years, and was diagnosed with a neurological disorder, including focal epilepsy. Diagnosed, I don't claim that. I'm telling you what I was diagnosed with, not what I claim I received. Focal epilepsy, as well as PCOS. Now, a lot of women have PCOS. However, it shows up very differently. And I think there are different types of PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome or polycystic ovary syndrome, depending on who you ask. And for me, one of the ways it showed up was very, very absent periods, but that's only one symptom. PCOS, according to research, says that it also puts you at high risk for a lot of other conditions, as well as has comorbidities or whatever. I additionally also, after COVID, I had long form COVID. I had to relearn how to use my body and walk. I had some after effects neurologically. I had after effects and damage to my body, developed lung issues and asthma, even though, again, I believe healing is my portion. All of those things. And with PCOS, the way it showed up in my body was it was like an autoimmune condition. So you think of other autoimmune conditions, there are many, like fibromyalgia, like lupus, like whatever. It was just ravaging my system, and my hormones were so imbalanced, and it ravaged my system in such a way where it presented like other chronic illnesses, and that paired with the other conditions and focal epilepsy diagnoses. Life was lifing. And I remember being in a space of like just dreaming about having a life where life was dreaming about being in health, dreaming about life being in order and doing things that I love and doing it to a full capacity. And all of these things try to steal hope, try to steal joy, try to steal time, try to steal youth from me, try to steal my dreams from me. Living in these, they were like these entrapments that I'm constantly trying to fight. I was constantly trying to fight out of. So to be in a place where I have not received the fullness of healing in my physical body, I haven't felt it all the way, but I know that it's there. And to think about where I was, I remember being so ill with after COVID. I knew, because I had already had what functions like autoimmune disease. If I get this thing, I would, there was this concern that it was going to hit me so hard and might kill me. And I remember doctors being like, there is nothing else. We've given you the emergency procedure, the emergency infusion. And if it doesn't help, there's nothing we can do for you. We can send you to the COVID wing and like hope for the best. But there's nothing we can do for you. And I remember before that happened, I think it was before that happened, I was in such excruciating pain and I couldn't talk. And I couldn't breathe. While I struggled to talk, I could talk, but I couldn't breathe. And I was like, God, my voice as a prophetic person, as a creative, it's everything. If I can't breathe or if I can't speak, what is there? And I remember being in so much excruciating pain that was just like, if you're not going to resolve this, take me out. Like, if there's not a clear thing, and I already suffer so much just to show up every day. Why would you make me like this and then give me this calling? If they feel like they're in direct contradiction, why would you make my dreams so big and then make it difficult for me to do regular things? It's like everything is working against me. And then you add on to it when I was nearly deathly ill, and just being like, God, you need to give me an answer or take me out, because I'm at my end. Take me out, and it wasn't to dishonor God and like give him an ultimatum, but it was where I was, and God and I had the relationship where I could be that honest with him. I remember a growth in my ear at a different time that was like a tumor. and it had to go for a biopsy. My ear would bleed. I mean, it looked so strange that my physician almost screamed when he saw it, and he jumped back and was like, "You need to see this." Like, he took a picture of it, right? Which is terrible bedside manner, right? I had to go to specialists. I had to get a biopsy. My ear was bleeding. I couldn't hear out of the ear. And I remember they decided they would try steroids before they had to do surgery. I had to get CAT scans. And this is, I was used to MRIs. I used to have to get an MRI every year, almost every year on Valentine's Day, just because there's another growth in my head. There was another growth in my head, I'm claiming. And they were like, we have to monitor it every year, because if it grows, then it's dangerous and cancerous. It really shouldn't be there, but at least if it stays the same, it's fine. And considering you already have seizures and you have to do all this testing and monitoring and AEGs and all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. So I remember going back to the doctor and just praying, and declaring over that ear, and, utilizing the steroids. And I remember the doctor saying, like, he was shocked. He's like, I can't explain how it has resolved and responded so quickly. But even in that, I had to pray. And I was like, Lord, if I can't hear what I'm called to hear you, and I'm called to speak and write, how am I supposed to have these dreams? How am I supposed to fulfill these dreams with all of these things in the way? My mental health, my stand, everything. I warred for everything. And I'm not saying this to say, to play my tiny violin, because we all have obstacles. We have stories. We all have crosses we bear, can measure it with how we're designed and what we're called to, and also just the way the enemy attacks us because of who we are. But I want to say that in regards to a reclamation of dreams deferred, those things made it feel like the dreams were so far away. But to God be the glory. To think about the person who suffered so much. It's not that I'm absolved of suffering now, but every day that I feel good. Oh, I'm like something happening here. I'm going to try not to cry. Every day, and even with Christmas, I'm recovering from something that I had, a week ago, week and a half ago, but I feel way better. The past 3 Christmases, every Unfiltered December almost, I have been ill. I've been sick almost over the past 2 to 3, and I said, God, I refuse to be ill. And yes, I'm still recovering from something, but I'm way better than I was. Like, I have been ill with like COVID, with all this stuff around, holiday time. I spent last Christmas alone and on the verge of heartbreak. I still showed up for y'all, but I was alone and on the verge of heartbreak, and there were more questions than answers. So to be this Christmas with so much opportunity for celebration, I will take regular illness and regular pain. I won't accept it, because I'm walking in health and I believe that. But compared to what I know, even regular pain and regular illness is like a blessing to me compared to what I've experienced before. And just feeling good, and not just feeling good, but also knowing when I didn't feel good, and when I was just like, God, when does it end? God, I'm exhausted. And the trauma, the pure unadulterated trauma I experienced this year, and to still be at the end of this year knowing dreams actually were coming true. Like, I did a TED Talk this year, and we'll get into school in a second, but y'all see, not just 2 of my degrees behind me. This is my cross. You can't see the cross. Hold on. This is my ministerial cross from my ordination, and this is my minister's license here. There have been so many things this year, so many things that are answered prayer, that are those, it's those microscopic elements that we talked about, that are of the fulfillment of the dream, and also a preview, a reminder that the dreams are coming to pass. God has restored and reclaimed everything. He is yet restoring and reclaiming, but he has restored and reclaimed everything that the cankerworm has stolen, that the locusts have tried to consume. He's restoring it to me 1,000-fold. God is amazing. And so when I have those moments of, I feel good today, or gratitude, and when I say even my mental health. In the worst of worst, he's kept me. I did not have to devolve into places that I had been delivered from, because deliverance is not just a moment, it's a practice. It requires maintenance. But that is like the dream. Because there was one point where I didn't even know what else to pray or ask for. And I just wanted peace in my mind. I had no desire to, but I had no desire to live at certain points, but I prayed for the desire to. So when I wake up in gratitude and my life is filled with joy, it is a reclamation of dreams that felt deferred. For every time I said, when, God, just tell me, when does it end, or how long is this agony going to be? When I live in joy, it's the reclamation. It's the reclamation of the dreams that were deferred. Okay, we're gonna get out of here soon. I'm finna wrap up. Living in Atlanta in this house, which my future house is going to be bigger and more beautiful and all of that than this. But the fact that I'm living in a home, I remember dreaming about, like, first of all, there was a point where having an apartment felt like a miracle to me. And then I got my own apartment. And every single time I've leveled up, I've been like, I don't even know how, there's no way. And I've gone from apartment to studio to, a townhouse to just different. I've lived in various places in various ways in my adult life, but to be in this house with my beautiful room, with my beautiful sister, in our beautiful home that we have curated and cultivated, when this house was actually at the top of our range. If you know our testimony of this school, I'm so annoyed with these fireworks, but it's okay. We're gonna continue. We're gonna continue. Oh, y'all gotta stop them fireworks. I hope y'all are being patient with me. But in all that we endured to get this house, and I remember being like, God, how? He said, it's not for where you are, it's for where you're going. And literally between the support and love of my community, the miracle and favor, like, we entered into this house and we've been able to we host community crews here. We've prayed people through here. God resides here. Like, we reside here, he resides here. He resides in us here in this place. And it's not just a house, like, it's one that I love. Like, I got to host Thanksgiving for my nieces and nephews and my sister, my family, for the first time here. I do work that I love from this very office. I work towards earning degrees from this very place. I have built my business and my dream from here, from this place. I'm a reclamation of every dream that was deferred. And I remember when I was younger wanting to live in Atlanta, and I said, I don't know what it was, but ever since I was younger, I remember being 16, like, I'm going to buy a house there. I'm going to live in Atlanta. I would have never anticipated the way it looked like it was a deferment, my life, but the way that God brought it exactly where it was supposed to be. What I professed as a child, I get to live in now. I love this city. I love this community. I love where I live. I felt like I had to sacrifice that dream. And to be honest, I did sacrifice my dream in some ways. I did, because everything that was returned to me had to be laid on the altar first. I don't like that part. Everything that was returned to me and restored to me had to be laid on the altar first. When it was deferred, when it felt like it was deferred, I had to, it had to die in a way. I had to be willing to let it die in order for it to be resurrected, in order for it to be reclaimed in my life. And yet I live here. I love what we get to do. I love who I get to be. I love the life that I get to curate, the events we've had here. The team that I lead, this amazing Unfiltered core team leadership team. It's a gift to me. It is a reclamation of dreams deferred. I was homeless before, y'all. Some of y'all may forget that. I remember dealing with students. I had recently gotten a job. I was helping students who may have been in their own personal crises or felt food insecure or housing unstable. And I was taking showers at friends' places, sometimes sneaking into a place to shower and get ready for work. I was homeless. The ministry school I was in, there's a whole other testimony. It's a long story, but I didn't have money, even though I had paid for the apartment and I paid for other things, because I couldn't work while being in that school full time because they were very, very strict and there were a lot of restrictions. They said, well, you can't be here. And I gave up my apartment. And then when I went to go stay at I won't say which family member, but at a family member's house, they said, I never told you you could be here. And, my husband's here. And so you two can't both be here. And so I never told you you could stay. You should go back where you came from. And I had nowhere to stay. I was homeless and I'm working. Do you know what it feels like? There was a time where we moved into this place. I was so sick I couldn't work. There was a time I was in this house for weeks, for months. I didn't even have a bed to sleep on. My sister had a bed. I didn't have a bed. I didn't have a bed to sleep on. And I was sleeping in an air mattress. The air mattress stopped working. And so people be like, oh, girl, a king size bed. Oh, your house. Oh, your house is like, your room is like the suite. Look at this, da, da, da. They don't know. They don't know the moments where it looked like the dream had died. I was so far from what the dream looked like that it looked like the dream had died. But I'm a reclamation of dreams deferred. I think about my relationship with my mother, whom I love dearly. I couldn't have made it through this season without her love, without her support, without her prayers. Oh my goodness. These celebrations, these opportunities for celebration, they're not just about me, they're about her as well. And I think about our relationship and how it is completely different. And I remember kind of going back and forth with God, giving up the dream of thinking that I would have a loving relationship with my mother. I used to think she didn't like me, like Lady Nark said a couple of days ago. Like I thought my parents loved me, but didn't like me. I'm like, my mom does not like me. It used to be the running joke in my friend group because there'd be pictures of all the other kids and the grandkids and not me. It was just different with me. Things were different with me. I suffered a lot with that. I suffered a lot. I just was not loved enough, not good enough. I already had a dysfunctional relationship, an absent father raised by a single mother, a father who was abusive to my mother. It's a long story, y'all. And felt unloved and unwanted. And like people have testified, I was a surprise pregnancy. Nobody believed it, but I wasn't. I wasn't wanted in the way that we think, just considering the circumstances, the nature of my parents' relationship. And so to be in this place where, do we still go back? We do. Of course, we go back and forth. But I have such a loving relationship with my mother. I've been able to honor and celebrate her in writing. There are published books over there with the poems about my mother that people get to read. On platforms, I've been able to honor and celebrate her. That is a dream deferred. I did not know. I thought that dream had to die, but I'm living in it. And it's changing generationally what the inheritance will be for my children and my daughters and anybody that I mother, whether I'm their mom or not, because of what dream was restored here with me in my life. You couldn't have told me. Like younger me in high school, me in college, like you just could not have told her what it could or would look like. I'm a reclamation of dreams deferred. And I experienced so much educational trauma. Some of you do not know. There were years where, like, my school had the first year that I was in college. I feel like that has to be its own live, but it's been tough from jump, right? I've always been perceived as intelligent. I've always been perceived as an academic. I've always been some iteration of an honors student. And it was an uphill battle from high school, not because wasn't excelling. I was class president and a varsity athlete and, performer and singer. And I was on dance teams and I was actually in a movie and all of that stuff. I was very, very involved, very, very involved in the community. I'm in the Rhode Island Teen Hall of Fame. I believe I'm still there to this day, many, many years later. So it wasn't that, but like just assuming that I wasn't smart enough, and having to advocate for myself and, you know, getting into schools and then like waiting and not getting the finances for those schools and, getting into my waiting for my top choice, not finding out that I got into my dream school until after I already enrolled in another school and just uphill. And I also went through mental and emotional and troubles, and even the beginning of health troubles that I wasn't aware of in high school that just kind of really affected me in the way that I was able to really be my full self. And then getting into college, of course, I got into schools. I got into the schools I applied to, and financially, I just knew I had done all the things. I had a really excellent resume. As y'all know, I started as a fetus. I started very, very young. By the time I applied for high school, I was already in my field of work or variations of it in different levels. I had a lot of experience. But my freshman year of college was during the crisis and the financial crisis and recession of 2008. And I remember being told that from my state and having finances rescinded, scholarships rescinded because they did not have the budget for grants or for scholarships. And my freshman year was one filled with turmoil. Obama was elected. People were very upset about that. I got to school thinking I was going to the school that was like celebrating Blackness and all this stuff. And they were not. We were the Blackness at the school. I saw Islamophobia there. People tagged the N-word in our dormitory. And I experienced a lot of trauma that year, a lot of trauma. My family went through a lot of things that year. An aunt was paralyzed. A family member was in a deeply abusive relationship that was like publicized in the media and on TV. And it was just thing after thing after thing. I spent both semesters, both finals, for the fall semester and the spring semester, in the hospital. The finals time of those things in the hospital. And then, mind you, the school's already beyond. It was already too expensive. I mean, it was very, very traumatic. It was very, very difficult. I didn't know anything about my resources or tools, or that there were programs, or that there was anybody that I could talk to. And the people who looked like me that I went to talk to dismissed me, because there weren't a lot of people like me who looked like me. I was just very much so misunderstood and dismissed. And I ended up ending my freshman year with emergency surgery to remove my gallbladder. It was chaos. It was a fight. And I'm like, I don't understand. I love the Lord. I'm trying to do things the right way. I do not understand. Then emotionally, it was chaotic. I couldn't even afford the school anymore. It was a lot academically. I ended up going to another program, and I'm like, this is the dream. This is the dream program. And I went through serious, serious trauma. I mean, I was their poster girl. I even won academic awards from the university because I was in a very, very unique cutting edge program that was connected to a university, but kind of functioned like as its own school. And the year that I was supposed to be graduating, after all of these accolades and all of these opportunities and 4.0 and Dean's List and all of this stuff, basically the school's like, the school is shutting down. Somehow your credits have disappeared and there's no graduation. This is after they had written letters for me for graduate school, and the only thing the graduate school is like, well, we're waiting on the transcripts. Like, you are a top candidate. Like, this is a thing that we're doing. I went through severe trauma. I went through job interviews of them saying, oh, like, you are the most qualified candidate. You're actually overqualified. We want to offer it to you so bad. But we know you've done the work, but until we have like the completion of that degree, we can't do. And so I went through so much. And my whole identity was challenged because I was perceived as an academic. I was perceived as smart. That's one thing that was reiterated to me even as a child, that I was smart. I might have been this, I might have been that. I used to be light skinned, I'm not light skinned some more, so I'm not pretty anymore to some people. Or I am, I fat. So maybe that's not, but what wasn't questioned was, the fact that I was an intelligent person, and they just knew that I would make it. They just knew that I would get the grades. They just knew that I'd figure it out. And so to go through this uphill battle, also not knowing I had these undiagnosed things, not just in my brain, but in my body. And I just thought that I was a failure. I just thought that I was a failure for so long, and that I was just bad, that I was failing God, that I was failing my family, that I was the black sheep. I remember being 7 years old and crying, looking in the mirror, being depressed. I didn't have the language for it, but I did. I remember journals that I wrote when I was very young, thinking that something was wrong with me, that I was a black sheep of the family, right? And so this thing that I had, which was to be smart, for that to be taken away after I had done the work and I hadn't done anything wrong, it took me a long time. And shout out to my therapist, because I had a resentment in me, a bitterness in me. And she was like, she kept saying, go back to school, but go back to school, go back to school, go back to school. And I was just resentful. I was like, I already did it. That's not fair. I was supposed to be graduating with honors. I already did it. It's not fair. And I just was like, it's not right. It's not fair. I'm not going to go back and do what I already did. And she was like, you're so brilliant. But this thing will get in the way of the things that you, and I'm like, I shouldn't be defined by this. Da, da, da. And she was like, look, whether you do it or not, the time it takes to do it will pass. And I just felt, I used to be so upset with her. And I got to shout her out now because she's not my therapist anymore. Obviously, I moved, and, that time has come to a close. I don't even live where I used to live when I was seeing her. But she's a Christian therapist. She prophesied over me. She spoke these things that are happening now over me. So shout out to her, because I was in a heavy and dark place. And I had been in a car accident. There was a lot going on over those few years. I think I saw her off and on, majority on, for like 5 years, I think, something like that. But I had to release that. I had to put it on the altar, because I had built my identity around it, and I had resentment. There was an unforgiveness. I didn't recognize it as that at the time, but an unforgiveness in me, because I felt like they stole my dreams from me. Things happen and people aren't faithful, but I was faithful. And they used me, I felt like they used me. I worked really hard and I made the school look good, and they used me. So when I'm sitting here, not only did that program 10 years later come back to restore me, and I gained college credits in the interim, also was a business communications professor. I got to teach at the college level in the interim. They also came back and said, like, we want to do a restorative justice action, and we want you to go to school, and we'll pay for what the cost is. We'll cover you. You can go to school for free. Right. And then to have that happen, and also have this amazing program where it has been nothing but support and love. And I went through another program where there was a racism, a ministry school. It wasn't like this, where you weren't actually earning degrees, but you were earning like training and certifications and training in ministry. And I had left my church filled with, like, I left everything that I knew. And some of you know, some of you don't, but I experienced not just trauma while there, but so much trauma and ridicule afterwards, so much belittling and condescending and isolating, and people abandoning me who've known me most of my life and not talking to me, mother figures, father figure, friends who I ministered to abandoned me. I remember being made fun of, like being mocked by my leader, by my pastor. And I left that to go to a ministry school, which seemed all great, and had a lot of great things about it. But as an adult, wasn't letting me work. And also there was a lot of racism. And I was like, I shouldn't have to put down my identity in God to take on like racism. It shouldn't be one or the other. And they ended up twice. They kicked me out. The first time they kicked me out was because I didn't have the money, and they were like, okay, or I was short on money. I was waiting for a scholarship to come in, and they were like, well, I don't know what to tell you. And then the second time where the money came in, it was a miracle. Oh my gosh, thank you, Lord. The money came in, and there was still money to pay in the future, and I wasn't working. So I was like, well, I got an offer for a job. Speaking of the job, it was a job that a job I applied for. The role was different, but they liked me so much that they contacted me in the future. I knew I was getting that job, and I got a rejection. And I was just like, there's no way I'm not getting this unless it's not for me. And so I said, I heard God say that I was going to work there. So whatever, I trust the Lord. Years later, 2 years later, years later, they came back and said, we remember you. We would love you to fill this position. Which is I was even better suited for that position. It turned out, I mean, I was suited for both of them, but that one ended up being exactly where I was supposed to be. So again, it was a reclamation of a dream deferred. And I end up like I had a couple jobs that were on the table. I ended up taking this one, and I'm like trying to figure out how to work with this job in the school. And the school was like, we're not budging. They said they would, but they didn't. We're not budging. And then they were like, well, you can't live here anymore. We know you left your business that you run in your apartment, but oh well. I left that to live with, I don't even know how many other girls were in my room. 2 other girls in a room, and like, I don't know, like 5 other girls in an apartment as a grown woman. I was older than everybody. It was crazy, y'all. But I was like, I'm just doing the next thing that the Lord is telling me to do. I'm just following the Lord. And that's when I ended up being, temporarily homeless while I was working this job. And I got to teach college classes to amazing, amazing students. I love them to this day. They're now, some of them I would consider like colleagues, former students and colleagues. They're really incredible. And I had an awesome opportunity. But that is a reclamation of dreams deferred. The ministry school is a reclamation of dreams deferred, and just working in ministry, being ordained. It's not just about the title, because God called me and I do the work anyway. But after 24 years of salvation and 23 years serving the Lord locally and internationally, to be in a place where there's restoration and love, to be in churches after I left the trauma and ministries, and work as a leader and be loved well, and then to follow that up with an academic education, it's a Christian education that loved me and saw me in this way. And because I had experience that seemed thankless, that seemed like it was discredited and discarded, because I had that, I was able to pursue these things. Everything was restored and returned to me. It was accelerated and it was magnified. What I earned here is more significant than what I would have earned at the ministry school. What I get to do with you all in this ministry that I love, and the other amazing ministries that I've served. I'm so grateful for Pastor Robin, Apostle Teresa, and my mentor Shante from Wives. I'm so grateful for how they've catapulted me. It was bigger than what I thought I was being crushed out of and excluded from. It is a fulfillment of everything that tried to muzzle my mouth, and now I get to speak to the nations. Right? When I was overlooked and downcast and to me not really taken serious, people try to take my intellectual property and not honor me. And now I get to do this on a scale where we're doing TED Talks. It's nothing but God. I am a reclamation of dreams deferred. So that's why I take those moments every single day. There are major dreams ahead of me. There are things that I thought I would have by now that I don't. But I press towards the mark of the high calling of Christ. I forget those things that are behind me, and I press towards in front of me. And I take a moment to know that I have not arrived where I'm going to be, but I'm aware of the blessing that I am. See, it's not just about the dream in the future. It's realizing the parts of the dream that are true right now. I'm a reclamation, and I could sit here all day. This was supposed to be 30 minutes. We going on an hour. It is what it is, baby. Watch it when you can. My testimony, I could go on. This is just a snippet of the testimony. This is just a little piece These are just little pieces. But every area where the enemy tried to rob me, it has been restored unto me. I remember having to fight over I'm being doing stuff for free, just out of faithfulness, and taking off, basically paying other people in order to do my stuff because I had to take off of work to serve them and doing stuff for free. I remember being challenged over just getting $100. $100 for what I called it, and that being a thing, and people not being able to honor that. And the fact that I've been able to do a tour in South Africa and travel the world and do poetry, compete nationally and internationally and do poetry. The fact that my work is on podcasts with, on the Unbothered podcast with Jamel Hill, my original work. Everything. It's published in books. I'm a published author. Not only is my work published in books, my writing and my clients' work is in books, and my writing of their bios and all that stuff is published officially. Everything the enemy tried to steal from me, because I was willing to put all of those things on the altar, and because I was willing to let the path look different, as long as the purpose remained the same, I'm literally walking in the microscopic everyday of my dreams. I'm literally walking in the previews of the things that I couldn't fathom. It's happening right now. I'm walking in it right now. And the second affirmation is, God has increased my capacity according to my call. What you think is deferral is sometimes creating capacity. And you're going to hear this theme frequently because it's part of just what God is doing in the earth and what God is doing through Unfiltered this December. But all of that stuff that felt like it was a no, that felt like it was a rejection, that felt like it was a God win. I remember weeping in my mother's car. I remember weeping on the floor at different times of being like, God, I serve you. Ooh. Are we still recording? Okay. Oh my gosh. I I got cut off, but thankfully I had backup. Thankfully I have backup. Can y'all see me? I hope the lighting is okay. Thankfully I have backup. So we're gonna finish this. Hopefully this works out, because I definitely my device that was my camera died. This is okay. My iPad's here to save the day. But I said, God, I serve you. I am serving you, Lord. I don't understand why I'm suffering this way. I don't understand why there are people who don't love you and don't honor you. And I am here suffering, God. I don't understand it. I heard your promise. I'm following your word. If it was up to me, I would be living a different life, doing different things, going an easier path. I'm chasing you. You said to do the work. You said to speak your word. You called me to be a minister. You said that I should start the business. You told me to branch out. It has been so much, so costly. But that was capacity increasing circumstance. Do you understand me? It was that increased my capacity. Not at random, but it was commensurate with what my call required of me. It was commensurate with what I was birthing. Do you know when a woman is pregnant, that inside her organs, they shift? Isn't that crazy? Her uterus expands, her skin prepares to expand, and her organs, they shift, they move up. Her hips, they start stretching and shifting and moving and expanding for the capacity that she's carrying. Because as it grows, they know that they have to grow. And it hurts. It hurts. Ask a mama who would birth a big baby. The bigger the baby, the more the stretching. It hurts. It hurts. but he's increasing your capacity according to what you're called to. Deferred does not mean denied. Delayed does not mean denied. The Bible talks about how hope deferred makes a heart sick, right? Oh, God, do you know what that feeling of what it feels like? To feel sick from the want and the weight. But what happens when it comes to pass? What restoration is tied up when it comes to pass? There's something about who we become in the processing of undoing in order to become. Who we become in the processing is God's dream for us. For us, we think the outcome is the dream. And so we think when God is making us and preparing us, that our dream is deferred or delayed, because that's our dream. God's dream for us is who you become in the process. That's God's dream for you. Not the thing, not the award, not the destination, not the accolade. Who you become in the process. That's his dream. So not only am I reclamation of my dreams deferred, in the process of him increasing my capacity according to the call, I'm becoming his dream. I'm becoming God's dream for me. Isn't that amazing? And it's not becoming in the mind of being or doing something other than myself. The more I am the woman I was created to be, the more I undo and become myself, the more I let God work things through me in the processing of it all. The more God's dream is fulfilled in me. Sometimes what you think is a deferment of your dream, it's not. It's a fulfillment of God's dream for you. That's why we have to be willing to lay it down. That's the only way I get it back even better, is when I lay it down. So I thank God for the processing, and I thank God for the stretching. I even thank God for what looks like it was going to be a deferring. And I thought this would be shorter, you guys. I really did. But there's some testimonies I keep saying, I'll talk about it. And I still didn't talk about any of them at length. I just wanted to let you know, even though you haven't arrived, be aware. Be aware even in your arriving. Be aware. Let gratitude wrap you in all things. We give thanks. We give praise, not for all things, but in all things. We make our supplications known. We think on things that are good and pure and of lovely and of good report that are praiseworthy. We think on those things. And we have confidence that the work he started in us, that he will do it unto completion. So Merry Christmas, y'all. This moment is a gift from the greatest gift. And I hope you're aware of it as it's happening. Not at your destinations, as it's happening. You are a reclamation of dreams deferred. And God has increased my capacity. He's increased your capacity according to my call, according to your call. Enjoy this season. Enjoy your day. I hope this is a blessing to you, as it has been to me just sharing. And if y'all want to know more, tag me in the comments. I have many testimonies. I have so much more that I could share with you. But it's Christmas and I want to hang out with my sister and do fun Christmassy things. So Merry Christmas, beloved. I love you so much. If you stumbled across this live, it's because purpose isn't finished with you yet, neither am I. My super empowered, my superpower. It is empowering people. So let me help you find yours. Thank you for rocking with us for day 25. We are less than a week out from the end. It's only a few more days. Hold on, y'all. Do your worthy work because you're worth it. Have a great Christmas.